In my presentation, I'm going to talk about 3 points. Basic, or in the beginning, I will make a little introduction, or I will try to explain the context in which we are discussing and practicing presence, awareness, and meditation. Then in the main part, main bulk of the talk, I will try to present more precisely what is presence, what is awareness, why we need them, how do we apply them, together with some guided practices. And in the last part, I will introduce mind training, and especially the first mind training, precious human birth, precious human body. Okay, so we start now with the practice, with meditation. So I would like to invite you to sit comfortably. Relax your body and relax your mind. Instead of following thoughts, you try to bring your attention back home to yourself, to your body, to your mind. And you can relax your head, neck, and shoulders. You can bring your attention and at the same time relax your chest, diaphragm, stomach, abdomen. Instead of thinking of these parts of the body, please try to feel them, directly feel. What can help you to better feel your body, especially chest and stomach, is that perhaps by placing your hands, one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach, and feeling these areas, you can help yourself by also consciously breathing into these areas. If the mind is wandering, please bring it back. Just stay with the body sensation. Okay, you can now enlarge or extend your presence also to the areas of your lower body, your seat, thighs, knees, legs, and feet. Okay, now you can feel whole of your body or your body as a whole. Just attending to any bodily sensations that naturally arise in this very moment. You can feel warm, you can feel heaviness, you can feel lightness. Whatever you feel, just be aware of that, noticing it, let it come, let it go. Having established a sense of presence in this way, now we can turn our attention on mind itself. Whatever happens in our mind, just notice it. Without creating anything, without doing anything, just keeping presence to any thoughts or mental events that are arising moment by moment. If the mind is wandering, we bring the attention back to whatever we are experiencing right now. At the same time, we are aware of the condition of our mind. If the mind tends to be dull, we try to make it more alive. We try to keep very vivid presence. If mind tends to be agitated, tensed, restless, we relax the mind. So we maintain undistracted, natural, and relaxed presence. Okay, now we relax without anything to do, any particular task to do. Okay, if we have touched a sense of presence or non-distraction, we try to keep it or maintain also during the upcoming time. And if I may ask you, while scanning the body, did you notice when you were present? Did you notice when the mind was wandering and was distracted? Also, could you relax your body? Could you relax your mind? Also, how it felt when you were distracted and how it felt when you were present. Okay, so when we are talking about presence and awareness, which are terms used in the Buddhist teaching and also used by our teacher Chogyal Namkhai Norbu, or more commonly, popularly used term mindfulness, it is important that we know the context or setting in which we are discussing these points. So by context, I mean to be aware of situation or condition of the individual in samsara, in conditioned existence. So contrary to popular mindfulness or so-called secular mindfulness, where attention, focused attention, mindfulness is used with what we can call worldly intention. for example, to improve performance in job, to better cope with one's emotion, to improve perhaps relationships, etc. So these things are okay, they are not bad, but the approach of teaching is different. So here our intention since the beginning is different, and we are aware that there is something fundamentally problematic in dualistic existence or dualistic way of experiencing things. So so we are aware that a sense of unsatisfactoriness is present it's a very natural characteristic of ordinary samsaric mind or experience. Perhaps a sense of lacking something. We can feel we are missing something. In other words, we don't feel completely fulfilled and satisfied all the time. There is something wrong. So we recognize this is the natural condition, especially when mind is afflicted by certain what we can call afflictions or unwholesome mental states, such as, for example, fear or worry, irritation or anger. These give rise to problematic experiencing or suffering. So we are using meditation, presence, and awareness to thoroughly know our own mind, to thoroughly free our mind from conditioning by everything that binds our mind. With the intention to know the truth, to see the truth, intention to be free, to be liberated, not just temporarily in some perhaps meditative absorption, or temporary peace or calm state of mind, but to really free ourselves from the root of all problem, which is the dualism of our mind, or basic unknowing, basic not seeing the true nature of reality. For that reason, or with that intention, we are learning and practicing presence and awareness. So these are the tools which we are using in the process of meditation. And also what we have to understand is the importance of mind. Commonly, we put a lot of effort and energy into changing outer circumstances, to have a better job, to have a better partner, to have a more pleasant place to stay, be with more cool people. But here we have to understand that everything that we are experiencing is related with our own mind. So, for example, even if we say, you made me feel bad, you made me feel sad, of course, from a certain point of view, it's true. We can experience it in that way, but anytime we are experiencing any difficulty or problem or pain, there is always a corresponding mental state, or from our side, something related or something that creates that experience of this problematic experience or painful experience. So even if we say, because of you, you made me like this or like that. We point one finger to him or her, but 3 fingers on us. So the importance of mind and working with our mind has to be understood. So the idea is, if we can change something in us, if we can change something in our mind, we change also the way how we perceive reality. We change also the quality of our experience. So it can be changed, it can be improved, and nothing is fixed, nothing is very stuck, and we always have an option. From moment by moment, we always can change what we are experiencing, and this is important to understand. So for that reason, our general attitude is that we try to look inside, and in the Buddhist teaching, a Dharma practitioner or meditator is a person who is inside, who looks inside, who is working with his own mind. Okay, in the Dzogchen teaching, and this course is organized by Dzogchen community. So in the Dzogchen teaching, they speak of two kinds of presence. One is called instant presence, which is another term for knowledge of our primordial state. This kind of presence is beyond intention. It is beyond cultivation, conscious cultivation. We can call it absolute presence. And it is a type of presence that arises when we recognize our own true nature. We are dwelling in that state. This experience, this recognition is sometimes in Tibetan Rigpa or instant presence, as our teacher used to translate it. So this is more like ultimate or absolute presence. But here we are not concerned, or we will not be talking about that one. We will be talking about what is called ordinary presence. That we can cultivate. So, okay, what is presence? So in the Buddhist teaching, when they speak about mind, they speak about main mind or consciousness and what they call mental factors. That are certain kind of functions of our mind that we are using and that dominate our mind. So traditionally they speak of many, or let's say 51 mental factors. Some of them are present all the time and some of them only occasionally. So presence is one of these mental factors. It is a faculty or capacity not to forget, to keep our attention on an object. And here you have to also understand these words mindfulness or presence. They are understood slightly differently, for example, in common or secular mindfulness movement, and for example in Tibetan Buddhism. There is a subtle difference. So for example, popularly they speak of mindfulness as non-judgmental, accepting, awareness of present moment. Yes, that is also an aspect of presence. But we can be fully present using our conceptual mind, our judgments. So what in general I'm trying to explain in two ways. One is conceptual or intellectual understanding, and this is also very important because one has to have a very precise and correct concept or intellectual understanding of what one is doing, what is presence, what is awareness. And second level is more experiential understanding, which is more important, which is a kind of sense of presence. So we try to, or we know what is the difference when the mind is present, I'm present, and when I'm what is called distracted or absent-minded. For example, I'm thinking of something else, cooking lunch or shopping online. I'm not really listening with attention, with awareness. So to have a sense of distinction or to be clear about when the mind is present, really present, and when the mind is absent-minded or distracted. And then by knowing this difference, we try to consciously cultivate sense of presence through our decision, through our consistent effort, bringing ourselves back to some reference point or to present moment. In that way, we cultivate presence. And when this mental factor of presence is cultivated, moment by moment, day by day, month by month, it gains strength. We so-called build up sense of presence. Because our mind is dominated by our habits, and distraction is a habit. It's a so strong habit that is natural for us to be distracted. And then when we cultivate presence, maybe we can feel a little uncomfortable or a little weird. But also that's only a habit. So we try to get used to living with awareness, living mindfully, living with presence. So this cultivation, or they use the term bhavana, getting used to or cultivating this quality of mind, non-distracted, attentive, knowing. So not to forget, not to lose oneself, to be where we are with awareness, consciously, that is presence. Okay, now we try to rest our mind, settle our mind in the present moment. You don't need to sit straight, you don't need to do anything, just relax and try to maintain presence. What is your mind doing right now? Where is your mind? If it is wandering, okay, you recognize it. not a big deal. Gently come back to yourself. Okay, so you see this moment, this very moment, when you recognize your mind has wandered, mind is distracted. There is a moment when you notice it, particular moment of recognizing. It's a kind of small awakening. You suddenly recognize mind is gone. That is the presence, that recognition. So actually, it's not a big deal that thoughts arise, sensation arise, association arise. That's not the problem. But the problem is that somehow they hijacked, or our attention is taken by those appearances. We don't keep continuous mindful presence while thoughts arise, while mind is occupied by something. Somehow the sense of presence is gone, is lost, and mind is taken over by something, and it's dominated by that. And that is the root of the problem also. So actually, in the meditation, any moment we recognize we were distracted, we can have a bottle of champagne, we can open, we can have a little party, we can celebrate. Yes, now I caught you. This is now I recognize distraction. That's the real moment of real meditation, that moment of recognition. So, and then we are having party, we are celebrating in that state of presence. But then again, we cannot really enjoy very long, because after some time, again, some other thought or something else comes, and then we are taken away from our party. So oftentimes thoughts in the meditation are unwelcome guests. You see, we are not inviting them particularly. Still they come, they take our attention somewhere. And oftentimes, you see, they speak about right presence and awareness. Samasati sampajana. So right means that we can catch and we can recognize tendency of mind to go after something, like a force or tendency to be attracted, a sense of attraction or sense of desire or wanting something. That's one force that is dominating us, that we need to clearly recognize. And when we speak clearly recognizing, that is the other second aspect, which is called awareness, shejin in Tibetan. Sense of knowing, sense of clearly recognizing, clearly knowing what is happening in the mind. So you see, not only we should be undistracted, but when we keep on this non-distraction, or we have a continuity of presence, what arises, this quality of mind a sense of knowing, sense of clearly knowing what is happening. So again, this in general, we don't have it very often in our daily life. For example, we are a little bit in a hurry. We are getting stressed, yet we have not recognized that. We don't know that we are already stressed. For example, mind is worrying when this COVID is going to end. What about my family? What about my job? Etc. My friend got sick. He or she has COVID. I'm worried. You see, these thoughts are dominating our mind, but we don't clearly recognize them as thoughts. You see, these are just thoughts that are colored by some emotion, let's say worry or fear. But our mind, through grasping and through elaboration, creates some kind of painful stories and takes them to be the reality. Yes, what about vaccination has not yet come here to Slovakia, and then I am very afraid, etc., etc. So these are just thoughts, but with presence and awareness, we can clearly recognize it is mind, it is thinking. We are not completely sucked into the content of such kind of thinking. So it is not so real for us, and therefore it's not so dominating our experience. So you see, this is very important aspect or point of the training of presence and awareness. If we can see that and apply that, slowly we are more free from domination of our own thoughts, from the imprisonment that our thoughts are creating for us. But again, this habit of grasping and following thoughts is very, very strong habit. So you see, we need to kind of train our mind or re-educate our mind and train this mode of bare observation instead of following, instead of proliferating, and being taken into the world of worries or fantasies or whatever. We are just aware, and we recognize thoughts as thoughts, and we train in that. So in this way, it is possible to do when we have a sense of presence. When we are present, then also this other quality of awareness sets in, and then presence and awareness are complementary. They are supporting each other. Being present means we are not losing ourselves in thinking. We have a sense of non-distraction. And staying undistracted, more and more a sense of knowing or recognizing what is happening in the mind develops. Is it clear? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. Sorry for my accent. Most of you guys are British or English. Maybe some of you are French. So maybe maybe you see Eastern European weird accent. I hope you can cope with it. Okay. If you have any question, please write to the chat or please ask. Okay. So you see, knowing of oneself, knowing of one's own mind, it implies that we start to know clearly which thoughts, which tendencies, which emotions bring about stress, bring about imbalanced state of mind, bring about pain, and also we clearly know what helps us to step out from that, what brings more clarity, more stability, more health, if you like. So if we are practicing this kind of correct or right presence and awareness, somehow we know it. You see, we know we are on the right track. We know we are not so conditioned or caught by appearances, especially when the mind gets for example, mind is nervous, there is nervous sense of agitation, we know it, and then we can relax. So in general, there is a difference if a person cultivates presence and awareness. He can cope better with life and with experiences, also with pain and problems, much better than a person, ordinary person, who is always blaming something outside or somebody, or even blaming oneself, being harsh towards oneself. So in that way, we can release or free ourselves from a lot of unnecessary suffering and that we are creating for ourselves due to lack of presence, lack of awareness, and lack of wisdom. You see? So this Buddhist teaching do not bring anything new. They just help us to clearly see what we already have. And this, what I call wisdom or enlightenment or samadhi, all these things already we have, but we lack sufficient skill. We are not skillful enough how we work with ourselves and with our mind. So in that way, we create a lot of problems and suffering for us and also for our kind of people around us. So so therefore, presence and awareness are precious. You see? So in the teaching, in the Buddhist teaching, sometimes this quality of presence is compared to a gatekeeper. Knowing what is happening outside in our sense perception, and also knowing what is happening inside, like in the mind. And then if there are some thieves or bandits or troublemakers, this gatekeeper can recognize, you see, and then there is a kind of alarm, inner alarm, that give a signal, oh, be careful, there is agitation in the mind, be careful, mind is distracted, be careful, now there is wrong intention, now you are egoistic, mind is egoistic, mind is proud. You see, this sense of clearly discerning. So in this aspect, it is not non-judgmental. Ultimately, yes, when one can be in one's own real nature and can integrate in that state, there is no need to judge what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, you see, as for the mental states or tendencies. But in common approach, now we are talking more in a common or sutrayana or common approach to meditation, we need to develop a sense of wisdom that helps us to recognize what is healthy in us, what is wholesome, and then what is unwholesome or leading to pain, like mental afflictions. So therefore, in the Buddhist psychology or in Abhidharma, they give a kind of list of different what they call root afflictions, which is actually our mind, normal, ordinary, dualistic mind is doing all the time this accepting and rejecting and indifference, which is called the root poisons and or afflictions, and then secondary afflictions. So, for example, what can prevent us from being present is forgetfulness. Losing a sense what is going on, being absent-minded, being lost. You see, and also there are different degrees. Maybe when we train, when we start, we can be just very briefly present, like some moments. Then maybe slowly, maybe 10 seconds or maybe 1 minute, we are continuously present. So if we can do that, we can see something is changing in our way how we experience reality. There is a particular taste or quality of our experience. And then slowly increasing this stability or continuity of presence. And then again, we are distracted and we are lost. So this distraction, they call sometimes also forgetfulness. So here I would like to point out that when we know what is presence and awareness, then we apply them in certain contexts. You see, first context is the context of meditation. Traditionally, calm abiding meditation or shamatha. So this is the main field where we train how to be present. And in our modular training, we will have one weekend, one module dedicated to shamatha or shine, calm abiding through the practice of fixation. So if we focus our attention on an object, this gives us a kind of anchor, like Julia said yesterday, and we can see how mind is distracted. Because normally, if we don't have any meditation object, we think we are somehow present, but it's a kind of so-so presence, or half present, half gone, you see. Actually, we are kind of distracted, but we even don't know that we are distracted. So, but when we have a stable and concrete object, and we try to maintain our focused attention on that object, we can see more clearly when the mind is not on object, when the mind is distracted. So you see, we place our attention on object, placement of attention on object, and then sustaining focused attention on the object, which can be breathing or body, present moment, even mantra, etc. But if the object is very concrete, very stable, then it's easier. So for example, breath. Then we see more easily, clearly, when the mind is not on the breath, when the mind is wandering. So this kind of training is very important. if we want to develop a sense of presence and awareness. If we don't want, or we kind of don't mind, then we don't need to do that. Okay, so then we call distraction, which is when the mind is scattered, when the mind cannot stay on the object or in the present moment, or mind is not aware what is happening right now in this kind of meditative way. So actually, you see, when you look closely at your mind, you will see that, or you can see that mind stays without conceptualization, without thinking, only very briefly. And then even if we look at something, we look at the cup, you see? It's a cup, but in a few seconds already mind is judging. Mind is adding layers of conceptualization. Is like this, is like that, I like, I don't like. Especially we can see, for example, if the mind is controlled by some kind of uncomfortable state, experiences arise more as enemy or as something disturbing or irritating. So mind has tendency to put it away, to reject it. And when mind is controlled by some kind of attraction or holding onto a pleasant experience, mind tends to lean more or hold it, keep it, what gives pleasant sensation. So and this happens moment by moment. So experience happens through the what is called touch or contact. Attention meets an object, and through that meeting, that contact, there is a feeling, and this feeling is either pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. So this very strong tendency, holding on to pleasant, rejecting unpleasant, and resigning when the sensation is neutral. We have more and more insight into this mechanism, which is a kind of root of samsara, root of everything. So you see, in the Dzogchen teaching, the characteristic is going to the essence. So as Julia said yesterday, when we train presence and awareness, according to how our teacher Chogyal Namkhai Norbu explained, more in the Dzogchen way, we are not going too much into what is wholesome, unwholesome mental factors, but we try to stay present in whatever arises. Non-distracted and present. And when the mind is not grasping onto anything, whatever arises also goes by itself. So in the Dzogchen teaching, they speak about self-liberation. Things are naturally impermanent. They go by themselves. If we don't grasp onto them, we don't hold, we don't identify, nothing stays. Everything naturally goes. So, okay, now we can again rest our mind. When we have a sense of presence, we can take a decision, okay, now I want to stay present. So it seems this kind of decision is also needed, and it protects us from distraction, from forgetting. And we can use this presence and awareness not only in shamatha, using an object, or shine, meditation. We can also use it for vipassana, or clear seeing, insight meditation, where the aim is to discern the true nature of reality and see phenomena as impermanent, see as unsatisfactory, and see as selfless, without a solid self. So this practice is like the main practice in the general common Buddhist teaching. So and then what, especially here, context of the daily life, that is an important aspect of application of presence and awareness. So again, it is good to have some basic continuation of presence that we have built in the formal meditation session. Then we can bring that into our daily life. So the more stable and clear presence we have in meditation, the more chance there is for us to keep presence also while moving, while doing things. So in the so-called post-meditation or everyday life. And so here, commonly or generally, we can train presence on our body, being aware. When we sit, there is an awareness of sitting. When we stand up, we know standing up. When we are walking, we know walking. So in some systems, they teach also what is called labeling. We are helping ourselves to keep presence by labeling what is happening. For example, hearing a sound, hearing. Walking, we say walking, etc. So it helps us to stay in the present moment. Or we don't need to use this help of labeling. We can just be present, as our master taught. And then aspect of awareness. In the meditation, it is a sense of knowing the state or condition of our mind. Mind is agitated, mind is dull, mind is open, mind is closed. What is the condition of the mind? Or what is happening in the meditation process itself? When the mind is wandering, we notice. That noticing is presence, and then bringing attention back, that is awareness. We know we have to bring attention back. Otherwise, we will not have meditation state. We will not progress. You see, this progress comes about through continuous bringing our attention back and gathering attention, gathering the power or momentum of mindfulness or presence. So, and then in the post-meditation or in the daily life, awareness also means properly responding to situations. So in the Dzogchen teaching, there are not particular rules of behavior. So we are taught to have a sense of awareness, knowing the circumstance, knowing the situation, and acting accordingly and properly what is needed to be done, what requires the situation or the circumstance. So, and so we can do that when we actually have this presence and awareness, then we are able to act in that way. Because this awareness helps us to clearly know, clearly recognize the situation. Okay, I will elaborate later. Now perhaps there are some questions in the chat, but before we go into question, we have now a break. We can again have a kind of meditative break, not being completely lost in the break, not be completely distracted. Okay, please try to maintain just a little sense of presence in whatever you need to do in your break. Okay, and then we meet again in 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Okay, dear friends, hello, welcome back. We are about to start. And we start our session again with a short meditation practice or exercise. In which we start by bringing our attention back home, relaxing our body and relaxing our mind with a sense of resting. Instead of following thoughts, try to be aware of them. So even thoughts or sensations such as sounds or perceptions arise, it's not a big deal, but just try to watch them, notice them. Instead of following, just be aware of them. I don't know if you have noticed that if you can maintain presence, you are relating with thoughts in a little different way than when you are following your thoughts. Sorry, I have to probably give more time to translators. That is also lack of awareness from my side. Talking too fast. So we train in this kind of exercise or practice, we train in calmly observing thinking process, not getting involved. In general, this practice is considered a little advanced. And in the original Buddhism or basic Buddhism, they start to train mindfulness or presence on something more tangible or concrete, which is the body. Awareness of the body. So starting with awareness, basic or simple awareness, slowly they move to the direction of non-identification with the body, not taking the body as me, seeing the body as an aggregation, as something impermanent, something that is changing all the time. Then, more subtle than body are the feelings. And again, awareness of one's feelings. Usually we are very identified with our feelings. I feel so happy. I feel sad today. I feel anxious. I feel nervous. You see, feeling is just a passing phenomena that comes and goes. But due to grasping, identification, there is a strengthened sense of me. It's my feeling. I feel like this today. And then the whole story comes, and another story. And so you see, we have an option to either go in the direction of mere or bare observation and relating more in an impersonal way, acknowledging there is feeling, letting go. It's going more to the non-dual or natural or how the reality really is, more freeing way or direction. Or we can feed, we can develop and elaborate the mental contents and the feelings and make it more amplified and making the story bigger, making the drama bigger. Why I feel bad because of this and that, and how is everything bad. So mind fixates, mind creates a story or a description and then takes it to be real. And then we are living in this private world, but we are not aware that our mind has created that. We are feeding it. Oftentimes it is disconnected from reality. So upon seeing that we create unnecessary problem or pain in that way, we can let it go, non-identify. So this is very rough explanation, but in any case, then deeper than feelings is the mind, and Tibetan tradition starts with the mind, presence directed on mind. Which we have discussed, and then still subtle is the content of the mind or phenomena, dharmas. Okay, this is just to mention the traditional Pali tradition way of practicing and training, with the aim of liberating one's mind from misconception or misunderstanding of nature of reality, which is centered around the delusion of solid independent self, solid independent self nature in oneself and phenomena. So okay, now the aspect of awareness that we have discussed in relation to our conduct or behavior. We are aware what we are doing with our body. We are aware what we are saying with our speech. We are knowing what is happening in our mind, what are our mental actions. So we have awareness of the three gates: body, voice, and mind. And as you know, even we talk about mainly training the mind, but traditionally it is supported by the proper or right conduct, let's say healthy conduct. In other words, these are not two dissociated worlds: our meditation world and working with the mind, and then how we are behaving, what we are doing in the world. It's very closely connected. You see, if you want to really relax your mind, really free your mind, have a real awareness and knowledge and capacity to train your mind and tame your mind, this effort has to be supported with the proper conduct of body, speech, and mind. Healthy conduct basically means not harming oneself, not harming others. Contrary, doing what is beneficial and healthy for ourselves and for others. So, but it starts with the capacity to be aware of what we are already doing, how we are manifesting, what we are saying, how we are relating with others. We need to be aware of that. So capacity to be aware of that is part of awareness. Presence and awareness, that is part of awareness. And then also part of awareness, according to the teaching, there is an advice on the right conduct, proper conduct, and harmful conduct. And then we try to train ourselves in the right way of acting, which is the training in Shila or ethics. Then that is the basis for the training of Samadhi, which is training in non-distraction, capacity to have focused attention, or in general words, training in the meditation, which is again not the end or the aim by itself, but it helps us to apply wisdom, or then train in the wisdom to see the reality as it is, outside of our projections, our conceptualization. And that seeing, knowing the true nature of reality is what brings us to liberation and what frees our mind from all the fetters, all the karma, obscurations, concepts, etc., etc. So that kind of liberating insight. Okay, so now another aspect of application of presence and awareness is in the context of what we call mind training in Tibetan Lojong. So to enter properly on the path of liberation, we train our mind in certain awarenesses. So first of these awarenesses is the awareness of precious human birth or life. So in general, we take our life for granted. We take for granted that our eyes function, our kidneys function. We can then inhale and we can take exhale. This is so normal that we even don't think about that. But few days ago, I got a phone call that a friend of mine died on COVID in the hospital, and he did not have the fortune to take any inhale and exhale anymore. So this means that even though our life is kind of very precious, but is very fragile and insecure, as we can see nowadays with the pandemics. So why it is precious? Because this human body and human birth is the basis for enlightenment. There is no better basis to progress on the path and attain enlightenment than human body, human birth. And again, not any kind of birth. If we are in the condition of constant depression, if we are in a condition of constantly being busy making money, if we are distracted by all kinds of worldly affairs all the time, we cannot say we have sufficient time and space and conditions for applying the teaching and doing practice. So we need to have certain kind of freedoms and same time certain endowments. And traditionally, there is a kind of list of 18 conditions, which we will not go through, but basically it means we have met a teacher, we have met a path, we are able to understand and we are able to apply. Also, this human existence or birth, it did not come out of the blue sky from nothing. It is said it is a result of a lot of positive actions or merits or good karma from the past lives. So if we are able to appreciate and rejoice from what we already have, you see, we don't need so much extra outer source of joy and inspiration and energy for practice, because already, you see, we feel very rich. We have all the possibilities and potential in our hands. And sometimes, maybe when you go to hospital or you go through some kind of very painful period of life, you are in a kind of three lower realms. You see, there is no opportunity to really work with your mind in the sense of meditation, because you are so caught in suffering or pain. That is not a free condition, free situation. And then when it's over, you feel normal, you feel so happy. For example, you are in the hospital and then you are allowed to come back home. Just coming out of the hospital, you feel like released from the prison. But sometimes we are also distracted by our pleasures. And we are after all kind of pleasant experiences related with five senses. It's nothing wrong, basically, but they cannot give us ultimate satisfaction and fulfillment, only temporary. And also joy from the meditation is much higher joy, much more lasting joy, much more authentic joy, because it is not dependent on anything outer. It is coming from our own mind. And our own mind, by its nature, is joyful, is pure, is a source of happiness and ultimate satisfaction. But because we oftentimes don't know that, we don't see that, we don't experience that, so we look for pleasure and satisfaction outside. So in our human life, we have this potential for awakening and liberation. That's possible. And also we can do many useful things for ourselves and also for others. And so this teaching and this training and awareness helps us not to waste our precious time. Time is very precious. Actually, the only thing that we really have is time, which is passing very quickly. And when we look at how many hours a day we work, how many hours we sleep, and then we eat, then we relax or enjoy a little, then almost we have no time, no free time for meditation, formal meditation. So in that way, our life is also very short. There is no much time, but of course, for real meditation practice, we need time, we need energy. Okay, now we do practice related with this mind training. So please, I would like to invite you to take a comfortable position. If it is possible, please have your straight back straight. If you happen to have any tension or locked or pain in your head, shoulders, or chest, or anywhere, please relax that. Also, please gather your presence, settle or rest in yourself. Even though thoughts are coming, you are not following them. Again, when the mind starts to get scattered, please direct your attention on the reflection on how your life, your human life, is very precious. You please try to reflect that your life was brought about by a lot of virtuous karma or actions. Your life gives you a possibility for freedom and ultimate liberation. I'm so fortunate because I have met the teaching. I'm so fortunate because all my faculties are intact. I am in a healthy and good condition, physically and mentally. That is very fortunate. I have now the opportunity to practice the sacred Dharma. I can completely purify all my karma from this and all past lives. I can bring great benefit to myself and to all sentient beings through realizing this path. I can live my life in a very meaningful way. I have all the possibilities and opportunities in my own hands, depends only on me. I shall try not to waste precious time. I will do my best to make use of this precious human life. Even though these good conditions and circumstances in my life are hard to obtain, they are nevertheless very fragile and unstable, and perhaps I can also die tonight or tomorrow. Nothing is sure, nothing is fixed, anything can happen. I shall try to use this precious human life in the best way I can. Okay, at the end, we can let our mind settle in a non-conceptual state. Okay, knowing that our human life is rare and precious and unique, that is awareness. Not forgetting that, keeping that in mind, that is presence. So the idea is to have ongoing or continuous living awareness. Live with awareness that my life is so rare, so precious, so unique. And by the power of this awareness, all my little worries, oh, I put on 1 or 2 kg. Oh, that's disaster. Oh, I have 1 or 2 wrinkles here, you see. Oh, disaster. Uh, so we attribute so much importance to kind of very small things. However, as the Dhammapada, the text Dhammapada says, the one who can distinguish what is important and what is unimportant, that is the wise one who dwells in the sphere of right view. So knowing important as important, and knowing unimportant, recognizing unimportant as unimportant. Okay, so when we train this awareness of precious human birth or life, after some time it gains some strength or power. And then this power of that awareness can really, it can really help us to set also priorities in our life. And then it is easier for us to place the Dharma and the practice on the place number one in the list of priorities, our priorities in our life, which is important if we want to realize in this life, or really come not just to the half path, but to the end of the path. And also this awareness gives us a sense of joy and a sense of energy, gives us a lot of optimism, enthusiasm, and energy, which we need perhaps also nowadays, where we see all the problems in the world related with COVID, pandemics, and when we watch the media and news, all the negative informations are presented, and then we tend, the mind tends to paint the reality black. You see, seeing all the bad things, all what is going wrong. But if we really look closely or reflect, then we see it is not really very helpful for us, for our mind. And sometimes it is much better if we can really appreciate all these small things that we already have, and also this possibility, this human life. And if we can live with this awareness, yeah, we can be much more at ease and much more joyful, enthusiastic for doing positive things. And actually, I wanted to call this talk Art of Appreciation and how to be positive. But you see, now also these days, if you say I'm positive, then also people can look strange at you. Oh, what do you mean you are positive? You are COVID positive or what? Okay, but in any case, this mind training of awareness of precious human birth can be a very helpful, useful tool also for your well-being and joy in your mind. But also in the context of the meditation training and spiritual path, it is a very important awareness. Please, if you now happen to have any question, now there are a few minutes. Please ask. Okay, we have question. How to recognize Rigpa? Is Rigpa no thoughts, just a relaxed awareness into your nature? Sorry about your friend said times. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you see, this is open meditation course, and we are not introducing Rigpa, instant presence, or knowledge of our primordial state. This introduction or teaching is the domain of a Dzogchen master. For example, Chogyal Namkhai Norbu or his son, Yeshi Namkhai, he will give that kind of transmission or Dzogchen transmission or direct introduction. There you will be properly introduced into how to recognize the state of Rigpa. Okay, so I don't feel also qualified to answer is Rigpa no thoughts, just relax awareness in your nature. Okay, so in general, sometimes it is not very good for us if we have some idea, oh, Rigpa is like this, oh, Rigpa is like that. Somebody said in Rigpa there are no thoughts. And then we have some idea that we impose that idea on our practice. And maybe it is not very, very helpful for us because this Rigpa is something that we are supposed to directly discover, directly recognize in ourselves. So it's a matter of our own personal direct experience. And it is a process, this discover is a process that is available after you received Dzogchen transmission or direct introduction. Okay? That is the proper setting or proper way how to approach the topic of recognizing Rigpa. I have a question, Lukas, but hard to type it. May I speak? Sure, please speak. Yes. If the administrator can let you speak. Sebastian, are you there? Sorry, maybe I can unmute. No. Sorry, I'm not admin.
Oh, hello.
So
Can
okay.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Back when we were practicing presence and awareness and beginning with the body scan, I am not sure if I have the balance right between the awareness of the sensation, no, the presence of the sensation and the presence of the sensation. So in doing the body scan, I will be present with the sensation, and then I can go deeper, and then I become aware that I've lost my presence. I've lost my presence because I've gone so deep into a sensation. So I don't know if you can respond to that. And I've noticed that when I go around in the world, and sometimes I'm aware and I label that can also become a distraction from being present in the moment. Does that make any sense at all?
Yes. Okay, so I think that if you keep continuous presence, usually one gets distracted because of some conceptual thinking interferes and it takes our attention away. So if you go more and more into body and into feelings and sensation, and you really remain closely attending to that, there is no way you cannot be distracted by that, you see, because that is the object where you stay present. What we call distraction is that our attention is kind of taken away by something else. So that is usually thinking. But of course, what can happen is that our mind gets tensed. You see, we can go more deeper and deeper, but something in our experience can be at the same time closing, or we can get a kind of tensed inside. So we need to find inner sense of balance between focused attention and relaxation. If we are too focused, mind gets tendency to be tensed and closed. If we emphasize too much relaxation, we get more easily distracted. So there is by practicing, it is possible to get a kind of right balance between these two aspects, and when we get it, we can continue in a stable, ongoing presence. You see, but it's good to also watch closely why this happens. Now, for example, you said you are distracted, but then if you look closely, what really happened in the distraction? What actually really distracted you? And you try to look closely and examine, and then you will see. And it is very important that seeing, that knowing what made me distracted, because then next time you are more aware, and also you are more careful about this cause, or what caused the distraction. That would be my answer for the first part of the question. And then second, yes, so oftentimes in the daily life we need a little tools or supports for maintaining presence and awareness. And so also it is good to take presence and awareness as our good friends, our companions. So when we are our experience is accompanied by these two good friends, presence and awareness, then for example, we can take short breaks, like we are doing something, and we usually do it very habitually in what Julia also called autopilot. No, people say running on autopilot, doing mechanically, mindlessly, just doing but not really being there. And so if we take occasionally we take a little break, or we do it more slowly, or we do it with more awareness, it helps us to keep awareness and presence. And one of these little helping tools can also be this notification or labeling. We a little bit label what we are doing, but in the beginning it can be helpful as a kind of anchoring our attention on present moment, what we are doing. But if we notice it doesn't feel good, it makes me more conceptual, makes me more distracted, we can just let it go, leave it, not use it, you see. So in this way, I think we should find our own, very much our own way, how I can be present, what helps me to be present, and it is individual. And again, we try and see what works, what helps, and we apply that. We can learn from many sources this common presence, training in the common presence, even from secular mindfulness, even from anybody, whatever helps us, whatever is working for us, that is good that we use that one. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so maybe last question, because it's also 8 minutes past. So how can I be present and aware speaking with somebody? Yes, the training of presence involves doing actions of body and voice and mind with presence. So easiest is simple bodily actions, such as walking, such as maybe cleaning your room, or very simple non-intellectual actions. Start with that, more easier. And then slowly we can learn to also bring presence and awareness to more kind of sophisticated activities, such as talking and also interacting with others. It is actually a matter of training. We can train that. And even there are some courses for mindful communication. And for example, one can talk and then take a break and gather presence. And with this heightened presence, continue talking in an undistracted way. So this can be trained. Oftentimes it is a matter of our decision and our intention. If we genuinely want to do, we really want to do, learn and practice that, then it is possible. And then we can train and slowly learn and build power of presence. Okay. How do I learn my deep feelings without following my present feeling or thought? Sorry, I don't understand the question. Without following my present feeling or thought. Okay, maybe we try to relate with those thoughts and feelings that we are experiencing right now. Unless we are working in some kind of psychotherapy or dealing with some old pain or trauma, perhaps in that setting it's okay, we bring up some old pain with the idea of healing it. Otherwise, in the meditation training, we usually work with those feelings and thoughts that naturally we are experiencing right now at this moment. No need to bring up anything artificially, unless there are some specific instructions for that. Okay. So you say our deep feelings distract us. Okay. Thank you very much, dear friends. I apologize for going over time. I hope it was useful for you. And so good luck in your meditation practice and in your life. And please stay healthy, stay safe. And it was my pleasure to be with you this morning. And then thanks also very much to translators and people who made this event available. Thank you very much. At the end, we can dedicate whatever goodness or merit or whatever positive happened, just few seconds we share with all beings, and we finish with that. Okay, thank you very much.